Hello and welcome to episode 118 of the Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner, myself, Seth Hellman. Rabbi, how are we doing today?
What a
Feels like a
question.
weird question to ask, but it's
Yeah,
how we start every episode.
right. And that's good. I think that's part of it is like being normal.
Hmm.
Like there's a whole process of in the morning process of like getting back to normal. Like that's why like the first meal after the funeral is made by neighbors or somebody outside the family. And I don't know because I can't tell you the reason, but one of the things that accomplishes is that other people must come into your house or you can't eat. And so somebody who's not directly connected to the person who passed away is bringing you food. And that forces you to interact with other people because the tendency is to just close into yourself. You don't want to see other people. You don't want to talk to anybody. You're just overwhelmed with your mourning. And the Torah wants to allow you to mourn, but doesn't want it to dominate your life. So we have people bring you food and like quote unquote force you to eat because that's you don't want who wants to eat?
Hmm.
You don't have to eat. My wife knows she knows if I don't eat, I'm not in a good mood. So she was always there like, did you eat? Did you eat? You have to eat. You have to eat. It was incredible. It's been an incredible week. Yesterday, no, today's Wednesday. 2 days ago. So after in the morning, after he said the repetition of Amida, I said Kaddish and I started to Ashrei and said, no, Torah reading. And I stopped, my mind froze. I'm like, it's Monday.
Hmm.
Like the whole, I mean, the only thing that stood out from the week was Shabbos. Shabbos started and then Shabbos ended. But after, Sunday and Monday, you're back into the same routine of basically sitting in the same room pretty much for like 12 hours. And people, you're eating, people come, you daven there. And it's just this constant flow of people coming in and out. So my mother passed away on Friday, the 11th, the 12th of Tishrei, which was Friday, the 12th of Tishrei, and Shabbos was the 13th, and Sunday was the 14th, which is Erev Sukkot. So Sukkot starts that Sunday night. And the funeral couldn't have been Friday because she passed away close to Shabbos. So we drove from Boston to New York for the funeral, and then we got back into the car right afterwards and drove back to Boston because I wasn't going to abandon, Sukkot. And regardless, a yontif interrupts the 7 days of mourning. So now for my father, we're looking for an email to send out to all the, to all the people on the email list, letting them know that he had passed away. And so somehow it came up the email we sent with my mother, and in it said, Shiva will be on Sunday. Like I wrote that I'm coming back to Boston for Yontif, for Sukkot, and Shiva will be from 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we'll down Mincha. We need a minyan for Mincha. Like probably 30 people came for Mincha. So yeah, so this is different. This is the whole week.
Hmm.
So it was very different. And I'm not sure if because my mother was the first one, so the first time I lost a parent, then it's a mother, not a father. There's so many different things. And my mother had Alzheimer's. So you couldn't, there was no communication with her for a couple of years, a few years even. My father, there was communication even up to the last day. He wasn't as communicative as he was the week before, 2 weeks before, a month before, but you can communicate with him. So there was this process of, subconsciously you realize that he's getting less and less connected to this world. Like it goes down. He's able to walk, he's not able to walk, he needs a cane. He doesn't need a cane, he needs a walker. He doesn't need a walker, he needs to be in a wheelchair. Not this wheelchair, a different type of wheelchair. He could sit at the table. He has to sit in a special chair. It goes one thing to the next thing. This stops working, that stops working. So you get, you sort of, you don't entertain a thought like, obviously, can I know hurry? Can I know for all of us? He lived to be 97. We realize he's, at some point, you don't want to think about it, but it's just the reality. And you never know when, and you do everything you can to maintain it. It was one of the things that kept me, that like really, like I recognized the value of my father's life, even like the last couple of weeks when he's very weak and didn't really want to eat anymore. It's like, all the things that happen. And so I would like lift a cup to give him a drink of water. And I asked him, "Do you want to, drink?" I wanted him to drink. It was very important to stay hydrated. So I said to him, "Do you want to drink?" "Yeah, I want to drink." He nodded his head, and then I lifted up to his lips, and you could see his lips moving. He was making a bracha. So I think to myself, "Wow!" Whenever he starts drinking, he's making another bracha. Maybe that bracha that he's saying quietly under, you couldn't hear, it wasn't audible, but he's moving his lips, so he was saying it. Maybe that's going to bring Mashiach to the world. He always talked about Mashiach. He used to say, there's a pasuk in the Dvarim that goes, Vayishman, Yisharn, Vayivat, that the righteous ones, that means the Jewish people, got fat and they got a lot of luxury. Vayivat, and they revolted. They rebelled against Hashem. So that's what pasuk says. That's what's going to happen. And he said, look, the Jews in America are so wealthy, and what do they have? Huge yeshivas, beautiful shuls. There's so much kindness and goodness coming to the world. So if that verse is not true, that they didn't rebel, so then what's the next step? So the next step is we pass that test, Mashiach should come. That was one of his. It was a series of things he would repeat, especially later in life when his memory got not as strong as it was. But certain things he would repeat and over again. And every time it was like a novel. To him, it was like a novel idea. That's why when I took you to him and he said whatever, what he told you, I'm like, okay, it's that one. But for the person who never heard it, it's just a beautiful, and that's what he was living with. That was like his life. That's what he thought about. He had like his Rebbe stories that I know you put together last week because I wasn't able to record during Shiva. You put together some of those videos of my father talking about his interaction with the Rebbe and the previous Rebbe. Now, why is he talking about this 70 years later, over 70 years later? Why is that so clear to him? When other things that happened much more recently, like a day before, were not clear. So how does memory work? What do you remember, what you don't remember? I think things that are like the essence of who you are, and that he's repeated it so many times, and it's been so important to him. For those years when he had that real connection to the Rebbe, meaning to say, not that it wasn't real later on, but real to him, that was the most tangible time of his connection. Even though he had communication with the Rebbe many, many times later on. But this is like giving instructions. It was formative years. You talk to any Lubavitcher and talk about who was with the Rebbe. He'll tell you, the best years of my life were the 70s. Someone else tell you the 80s. Someone tell you the early 90s, the 40s, the 50s. When you were there and you were, living in New York and you're yeshiva bacher and you're getting guidance from the Rebbe and getting missions from the Rebbe, and then you go off into, you settle down in some city, you get married, have children. Yeah, the Rebbe's still with you, but what initiated, what inspired the relationship is right in the beginning. That's why I was telling people who came, so many people said, "Oh, your father's so amazing. He was the first one that the Rebbe sent out on the summertime outreach missions. He was one of the first students in Lubavitch Yeshiva that started when the previous Rebbe came. And we had these amazing conversations. And then he was the first one that the Rebbe officiated his wedding after he became Rebbe in 1951. And I'm like, yes, those are amazing things and there's so much to learn from them. But you know what? He was very active for the next 70 years afterwards. How come? And so that's put into some paragraph. And he then became a teacher and he used to love learning with his grandchildren. Like, that's it. But as a child, those stories that he told us were like amazing. We loved it. And it passed on to us and inspired us. I've told it also a gazillion times. But that was like the foundation of it. The foundation of anything you don't see. The foundation of a building you don't see. You see the building as it comes above ground. So I can tell you about living day to day, Shabbos to Shabbos, Yontif to Yontif. Those are the things that stick in my mind. Building the sukkah, preparing the house for Pesach, sitting in the backyard, peeling potatoes, walking to shul with my father, sitting next to him in shul, seeing how he interacts with people. Like the people in the shul, we didn't down in the Lubavitch shul where we lived. There was no Lubavitch shul in that part of Borough Park. We'd have to walk like half an hour. And we just stopped in a regular shul, a small shul. Had a Hasidic Rebbe who was nice. I don't remember him talking too much. I think he did like the third Shabbos meal, he'd give over something. Otherwise, he was just a figure. And people would talk to him. He was a good person, very good person. But the people that sat at our table, one of those shuls that you have tables, and like he knew them and he spoke to them. He always had some words of Torah to speak, or some of his own little insights to the parsha or the holiday that we were celebrating. And I think I told you, it's like on our block, across the street was a Satmar Chassid, down the block was a Bavver Chassid, and then across the street was an Lubavitcher. And everybody just got along. Like there was no friction, there was no, especially when we came to shul, and my father would sit next to the guy down the block, the Bavver, was a school bus driver for the Bavver Yeshiva. And then he came to shul, he wore his shtreimel. Like, oh, this is, my father's talking to him about the last thing the Rebbe spoke at a Fabrengen. I don't think he said to him, the Rebbe said, da 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 da. He just gave over the content, he talked to him. So, we're going through our father's stuff and we're seeing, all the things he did in the years. Like, oh yeah, that's right. He had a day camp. He ran a day camp at the Lubavitch Yeshiva on Ocean Parkway. He ran a day camp. And he was a teacher here, he was a teacher there. And then there's things that uncovered, like letters that I sent home from Miami and from London. Going down memory lane, things that like I totally forgot, like reliving all this stuff. And it's, so Chani was with me the entire, she was in New York with me, which was, which has helped so much just for being there. But I'd get up in the morning and I'd cry. So Chani said, her mother once said to her, it's difficult to be alone with your own thoughts. When you get up, it's like the second or third day, Chani said, okay, did you cry already? Like she had this little, that's because he was 97, so he lived a full life. Who cares? Now he's missing. Even though in the last month he wasn't himself, but still he was there. It's always like, did he die suddenly? It's like, yeah, doesn't everybody die suddenly? 1 second they're alive, the next second they're gone. You have, okay, you're going to die tonight at 10. I'm going to die tonight at 10:30. I'll see you later, goodbye. It doesn't work that way. Okay, you expect it to happen, but you don't know exactly when. It's going to happen today, tomorrow. At that point, we've done medically all that we could, and it wasn't really being effective. He wasn't eating well. He was losing a lot of weight. He was weak. His blood pressure, his heartbeat, his blood pressure, whatever the numbers over there to talk about, we're not good. But we didn't know it would happen today, tomorrow. So yeah, it happened suddenly. It happened. I was sitting last Tuesday eating breakfast, and I was listening to a Chassidus class that we have at 8 o'clock. It's like 8:45, and then on our siblings' WhatsApp, my brother in New York puts BDE, Baruch Dayan Emes. It means blessed is the true judge. It means that, which means only one thing: my father passed. So I quickly turn off the thing, like, okay, Chani was on the way to a teacher's conference. So I didn't want to call her and tell her because I couldn't say without getting all choked up. And she would think oh, what's going on? I said, just look at your WhatsApp. I'm driving. Okay, just pull over. Pull over. And then she said, what should I do? I said, come back home. She was like an hour away. Come back home. We have to go together to New York and to be ready for this. So she said, it's difficult to be alone with your own thoughts. In many situations, that's real. But especially when you talk about being in mourning. So being together with the family was my two sisters from Israel, my sister from California, my brother from Chicago. Oh, my sister from Israel, so I should mention her, Elisheva. I forgot why already. We talked a lot about the Pos-cast, by the way.
I met a number of people that, they didn't recognize me because I wasn't wearing a hat. And and so I was getting introduced by, whoever says, I think, your brother was walking around introducing me. And so as people were like, oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute. The people, like, you came for the funeral. There's a couple other people came for the funeral. There's things that people do that no one tells you to do it. You only do because you care. If you don't care, like, why would you schlep? And it's nothing, you come to our mitzvah, so the host has to make you comfortable. You come to a funeral, the host doesn't have to do anything. He's like, you're there, and what are you there for? Like, what are you gonna? There's no, I came to. There's no eulogies. We don't do eulogies. So what did you come for? You came to be there because it was such a critically important event in my life. So you came, and also when it comes to the whole week of Shiva, the people that came, a lot of people from New York, even from Manhattan. I said, how'd you get it? By train. Like, I was surprised. Like, people get on, you spend an hour in the subway to come in the subway. And how long do you stay there for? You can't comfort. Like, you talk for 15, 20 minutes to leave. So people drove from Boston to spend 20 minutes or half an hour and then go back. Okay, some people told me they stopped at the oil, Rebbe's oil. I was happy. And I want you to come for me, like, do something more, like something inspiring. But yeah, it was really, and people call, people left messages. I didn't have my phone with me during the day. I just plugged in and forgot about it because I was so busy talking to people. I was happy I forgot about it. When I was sitting, like, answer phone calls when people are sitting in front of me, leave a message. It's fine. I learned a lot about this. It's important to do it. And people call me today. We got up from Shiva yesterday in the morning. And people are calling me today. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this and that. It's okay. It's okay. I don't mind. It's not. Oh, but, like, you knew what happened, but nobody wants to do it. It's uncomfortable. So I would say don't even try to call somebody and get them on the phone because you're gonna be uncomfortable. They're gonna be uncomfortable. Just leave a message, voice note, voicemail, a WhatsApp thing. And it doesn't really matter what you say. It's not really much you can say. You say that I'm sorry for your loss, and you say the comfort line, yada yada. One guy said the whole thing and said, I hope you're doing well, my friend. You know, those little words you add in, my friend. Like, oh yeah, you're my friend. I'm your friend. It's something more personal. It makes a difference. And then we get so many messages from people who met my father in Boston. Everybody, each one of my siblings, wherever they were, the people that met my father, like in Chicago, in California, in Israel. Oh, your father told me something, or people that said they stayed in our house for Pesach. I don't. And I said, yeah, I vaguely remember that. It's so long ago. It's over 40 years. But yeah, those two stayed in my father's house. Or other people that met him and he said something to them that they remembered, or something he taught them. So what's the point? The point is very simple. You don't live to die, and you don't prepare yourself. What are people going to say about me after I'm gone? You don't think about that. But to realize the value of the day and what you can do every day, how you can affect people's lives. And not only people that are going to remember, people don't know you. So today I was walking in Crown Heights, and this guy, not Jewish, was walking down the block, and I said, good morning to him. He said, good morning. And I thought it's so simple, it's not even worth making a big deal out of it. But yeah, so it's a pleasant thing. You were pleasant to somebody, he's pleasant back. That's one of the things about my father. He was very nice to people, very menschlich. He'd meet people in the Chabad because he got a degree in counseling. He was a teacher, and to be able to get like a higher level pay or whatever, so he became a counselor. So I remember one of the students was studying psychology. Oh, they started comparing what they learned. You know, he's about 30, 40 years older than him, 40 years older. You took the course. What are you doing? This, that. Yeah, it was great. It's good. And the things that he was so, I think my father was extraordinary in the ordinary. Like, to be consistent in everything that you do. Like, I met a guy today. He came to Chabad house. He moved in nearby. He needs a mezuzah. Came with his wife. He said, I met him last year. They're both in school here. No, she's in school. He's working. We met him on Newbury Street. You remember we met you last year on Newbury Street? It's like, okay, great. I don't remember. No. He said, you have a pair of tefillin on. Why don't you put them on? He knows how to do it. So I gave him the mezuzah, and then he put on tefillin. And he wrapped. He really knows how to do it. He wrapped it up, put it on, said Shema, took it off. I said, you just put on tefillin. It took you 3 minutes. Why can't you do it every day? His wife's supposed to remind him. You know, so those simple things, to be consistent, to do it just do it every. My father consistent in what he did, his davening, his learning, like he had an order to his life. He had a Gemara on the table. There's always a Gemara on the table. At night he'd come home and learn Gemara. Shabbos, he did the Chassidus in the morning, or the Maimer from the Alter Rebbe for the week. Yeah. And walking to I told this to everybody who came to talk. We walked to Fabrengens. Maybe next week we'll go through the whole history. I'm too tired for that now. But when we lived in Borough Park, we would walk to the Fabrengens, and it had such an impression on me. I didn't think about it then. It was not a big deal. The Rebbe's in Crown Heights. We live in Borough Park. It's an hour and a quarter walk. We go. I don't expect anybody to give me any accolades. Oh, you're so amazing. You walked from Borough Park to Crown Heights. Wow. I just did it because that's what, we cared about. We were Chassidim, and we loved the Rebbe, and it's important to be there when he's talking at a Fabrengens. We have to learn from him. So that's what I did. But why was that normal? Because my father was so devoted to it, and it was like second nature to him. Actually, it's not second, it's his first nature, but it was not something you had to talk about and discuss. It's important to go to the Rebbe. The Rebbe was there. It wasn't, and we knew it just was part of our life that it was important. So that's what we did. So I tell people, like, do a mitzvah in his honor. Be careful when you eat to say a bracha before. Be more consistent with putting on tefillin. Yeah. Now we're in the 3 weeks. Shabbos is Rosh Chodesh, starts in 9 days. So that's with the blessing we say without these days. May these days be transformed from darkness to light. With the coming of Mashiach,
Amen.
when all those that we love will be back with us, alive, and won't have to. Everybody should be nice to each other. Be nice to each other. Be a mensch. Be pleasant. If you have issues, deal with it on your own. Don't take it out on other people. Yeah. Be a mensch. I think that's really. And you're a Jew. Learn Torah, do mitzvahs. It's not hard. It's just a way of life. Yeah. So I'm really, really appreciative to all the people that reached out. I'm going to post it on Instagram, on Facebook, in the email status. I want every person that came or called or reached out to know that I really do appreciate it. It's very, very special. And I thank everyone. Every message I try to say thank you. But so many of them, maybe I miss out somebody, or an email or a phone message. But it is very, yeah. It's not, some people a couple of people flew up from Florida for half an hour.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it. You got to, be there for that moment. I think every person sort of uplifts the mourner a little bit, because it shows that people care, and so you realize you're not alone, and especially family, that we hope to be together. And then everybody wants a little piece of what's left over. The books, the sfarim, the other things. So my sister's lining everything up into piles, like all the pictures but I got a couple of sfarim that I had there that had my name in it. That I guess when I moved out of the house, I didn't take them. And then any pictures that of myself, each one of us, like a whole pile. Take your stuff home, and of course, then the stuff that just straight out my father's. You have to figure out every child, every grandchild. I would just want something, to all tell your children, you see this book, this becher, this whatever it is, with my grandfather. It's like, wow, amazing. It keeps that tangible connection to the person. And I like seeing the pictures of my father was younger, because you live with the person. I visited him so many times as in the past few years, but then I want to see what he was like 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So that's really who the person is. That they get old and weak, and you have that picture in your mind, but that's not the picture you really want to have there. You can't just erase it; it stays there. So but you try not to dwell on the times he was dancing at weddings and bar mitzvahs. Those are the pictures you want to frame and put on the wall and remember. But for each of us that live through it, it's a real reminder of the frailty of life, limited time. So you don't get depressed about it. You say just the opposite. If you have an hour to go into the amusement park, you don't stand there and saying, "Oh, I'm only here for an hour." No, you start getting on as many rides as you can. Try to get as much accomplished as you can. So that's like there's this like weird dichotomy. This supposed to be so excited for every day, but you know there's an end to it. It's only going to last a certain amount of time. But you don't have to. That is not supposed to drag you. That's supposed to say, I need to do. I need to do. I need to do as much as I can today because who knows what's going to be tomorrow. Not that I'm worried. It's just like I have today. Let me just focus on today and fill it up as much as I can. And that's what everybody should do. And we should merit the coming of Mashiach, third base Hamikdash. May these days be days of joy for my family and for all Jews.
Amen. With that, thank you so much for listening to episode 118 of the Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner, and we'll see you next week.